What's up, Storm Watches? Day or night, we have a lot, 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 a lot to talk about today. Hmm. Okay, I saw chapter three like literally in total of two times, so I can make sure what I saw, so I can be totally legitimate while I'm making this rant video or review or whatever you call it, whatever. Just try and get the shit out the way. Um, like I said before, for a long time, I always complained about Salem. Like it was hard for me to get attached with the character or to even care about what's going on, her agendas, or anything, because I didn't know shit about her. And like I said before, I'm kind of glad that Volume Six is the season to actually do that. And more or less, I'm getting in depth and whatnot more about it, but something about Salem, about pretty much how the whole lore, the whole story, the whole general story of Ruby kicks off. It just got me feeling a lot about Salem, like and whatnot. You know, okay, okay, this is spoilers. I forgot to mention that. Apparently, uh, Apparently, Salem was a princess who was being held by her own volition by her father, and Osmond's previous life, known as Osma, more or less was a your stereotypical knight to save the princess and whatnot. And actually, when I first looked at it, it looked when they were explaining more about Salem, it looked like they had more of this Rapunzel thing going on with it instead of Wicked Witch of the West, what they were going for. Look, it kind of reminded me more of Rapunzel, the concept. Um, okay, Ozma saves her from her castle and whatnot. They fall in love, and he gets an illness, and he dies, and then she goes to the god of light to bring him back from the dead. The god of light was, no, that's not my job, and resurrection was spun everything out of control, which is pretty much will be the main eventual subject of this review. Then she goes to the god of darkness, and the god of darkness pretty much brings back Ozma, or as we know as Ozpin, and more or less she disobeyed orders, and she more or less kind of was the she more or less not only broke the rules of resurrection and life and death and whatnot, but she also kind of was the reason why the whole deal that the Grimm brothers had became soiled because of her desperation for her love. And when I saw it, it kind of reminded me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist when they try to bring her mom back, and instead of bringing her back, Alphonse was pretty much used as a whole sacrifice, and Edward had his arm and leg taken off. Yeah, y'all have seen anime or you haven't, but that's pretty much the basis of it. And just like Full Metal, she more or less was given immortality and was thrown on Earth, and she pretty much lived most of her life hating and wanting to get revenge against the gods. So more or less, which kind of actually make this is the I'm getting to the main subject, obviously, of how I feel about Salem. Um, she more or less used the highest kingdoms to more or less go against the gods. She pretty much united humans, but not for a peace thing, but more so to rage war against the gods. And pretty much Salem became the reason why the world we know it is just turned upside down, because throughout their fighting with the gods and the humans, the god of darkness came out on top, wiped out most of human life, and was the reason why the moon, the iconic moon we see in Ruby, has that giant blast mark dent in it. For some reason, he just destroyed it like fuck it. I guess they were supposed to say that it was a spin to, when people said the meteors killed the dinosaurs. So I guess he blasted the moon so he can create meteors to rain upon the earth and kill off his populace. I guess that's a spin on it because he just got up. Salem, you can't fuck with me. Like I didn't know what that was about, so I guess that's my only prediction, my only hypothesis on why he more or less blasted the moon, so he can more or less recreate how the dinosaurs died out. Well, at least that's my take on it. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but it just really puzzled me. I'm like, why the fuck? What was that about? I mean, you already did your job killing off the humans, so I guess that was their spin on it, I guess, or whatnot. And now you know why the moon is the way it is now. I mean, there should be like fucking tides sweeping up the whole world, but science doesn't exist in Ruby, which is fine because Ruby is a action fantasy. uh, they kind of made it. They kind of the pathos in it kind of made you want to sympathize with Salem, but from actually hearing about the whole story, I can't pity her because she's kind of the reason why shit got fucked up in the first place. Everything she did, everything she's doing, even up to this point, it's kind of her fault. Not only was she the reason why humanity at first got wiped out, but she can also had her side of the burden by becoming immortal and having to live the rest of her life as just some cunt, some raging, revengeful cunt. Although, despite she kind of did it to herself, so I can't understand what's going on with that with Salem or whatnot. Uh, and one thing that kind of really surprised me is more or less how she became what she is now with the white skin and the red beating eyes and whatnot. She more or less went to the realm of darkness, and considering she was dropped in the lake of life that gave her immortality, she thought it could be reversed by jumping into the dark lake that wishes upon destruction. But instead of that, the pawn more or less made her into a grim human hybrid, I guess, or at least that's how I see it. So more or less, that leaves a lot of continuity errors. Like, so okay, that goop creates Grim, and it's also the river of darkness and death and whatnot. So that means if someone were to touch that goop, would they become a Grim? I mean, I know I'm going to completely contradict it because anyone who's immortal won't be affected. Anyone who's immortal won't die if they jump into it. But I'm just saying, like, there can't obviously be just two immortal humans in the Ruby world. Now that that's established, I mean, it kind of has this really, Norse god, Greek god thing going on with it. How this how their story was told it is really reminiscent to that. So that only raises another question: like, could there be any more possible immortal people walking around and whatnot? So I guess that goop could like do anything. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, it could make you a grim, or it could kill you, or whatnot. So yeah, that leads a lot to questions and predictions and whatnot. And okay, and more or less on Osmond's side, when he more or less was brought back by the God of Light, he more or less made a deal with him. He's like, if you get rid of Salem, I'll lift you from your immortality, if so y'all be able to rest in peace. And more or less, he was sent back on Earth. They hooked up X and O's and whatnot. They eventually had their own kingdom and whatnot. And I guess from my prediction, I'm guessing the season maidens are Osmond's kids. I mean, that's what those kids look like. That's what they remind me a lot of. I mean, yeah, I may be wrong because the part when they were fighting with the key blast and whatnot. Although I wish there was more to that scene. Uh, Wherever they died during their fight, or that's at least one of my ideas. Or if they didn't contradict the whole him being a wizard once and giving the Maidens powers, probably he did that somewhere in his lifetime. But that's my prediction. Like, are those four kids the season maidens? They seem to be triplets. Like that leads to a lot of questions. Like, are those kids the season maidens that we know about, or they're just regular immortal hybrid grim human kids or something? I'm just saying anything, y'all. But no, seriously, that just leaves a lot to be desired, and I feel like those kids will play a role eventually, or would be the elements that will explain more about the lore of Rue. Because Jen, while she was narrating the story, she pretty much she actually put a lot of impact, a lot of importance to the existence of those kids. So that'll lead me to believe that they probably will play a significant role later in the story to ever explain things, or they'll pop up and be characters in the story, or recurring characters, or allies, or they could be season maidens. That's my theory, because they look really reminiscent of it, and they also had the powers of Ospen and Salem. Well, mostly Salem, those orb things she was playing with. So yeah, that leads to a lot of questions and whatnot on it. Uh, and for as far as background stories are told, I'm actually kind of surprised how well paced this overall background story was. It wasn't too fast. It wasn't too slow. Oh no, no! It actually was really fast. It actually almost happened in an instant, actually. But I'm still surprised how good it was, and it still explained enough things in patterns, so y'all can be clear. So I wouldn't contradict what I said earlier about certain things only leading to more questions. It was only good in patterns, because I mean it was good, but they only explained things within patterns, not fully. I guess we'll just find out more, and in episode 4 with their exposition dumps, or they might just do another sequence with Jen telling them more about the story. Like that's probably the second wish or something. I don't know. We'll never know until it comes out or whatever. That's just my prediction on the next episode and whatnot. Let's see. The animation, like always, especially for how Volume 6 goes, it's like really smooth. Like it runs real good. Although in some parts, like that's been a common complaint in the past about how certain background images, some foregrounds, some uh, uh, characters almost are hand drawn, while everything else is 3D, so it's kind of thrown off. I mean, that's the only gripe thing I have to say about the animation. I mean, and especially how they depicted, the people getting swooped up by the destruction beam that the Dark Brother sent off to kill everyone. Like, it just looked like something from a comic book. Like, it didn't look convincing. Like they were in shock. It was literally just cut out, moving, slowly shifting, moving pictures. Oh, and then the beam came. This 3D CGI beam came and swept everyone up. So yeah, here and there, kind of had some. I wouldn't say animation errors, but I feel like it was unnecessary to just use 2D animation for that said scene and whatnot. Hmm. Huh. Okay, animation was decent, but I think they could just used all CGI. But then again, I don't know too much about the budget, so I'll just let that slide for the moment. I mean, they still depicted, things here and there, correctly and understandable and whatnot. Let's see, music was nearly almost non-existent. I mean, it was there, but it was not there. You know how it is. Like you hear it, but it wasn't something you keep to heart or something. It was just there. So music is music, I guess, uh, and whatnot. That's about it. Yeah, actually, I gotta conclude by saying, yeah, actually, it was a pretty good episode, and I'm kind of finally glad we finally hear more about Osman and Salem's backstory. Like we're pretty much 5 seasons in, 6 seasons in, so I guess that should be brung up by now, and I'm glad they finally brung it up. I mean, their story is as generic as it can get and whatnot, and especially at the ending part where more or less when Osman in his past life, when he was one of his reincarnations, he came to Jen to ask how to kill Salem, how to defeat her and whatnot. And she said, and he was like, asking, "Will I ever beat her?" And she replied, "No." And then that's where the episode ended. So I'm guessing they're saving up in the next episode, which brings back to my past point when I said probably in the next episode they'll expand more on the backstory. Like I don't think it was just here and then it was gone. But no, they might expand a bit into the next episode, and then from there the initial story would carry on. Um, and on that count, I guess they're trying to say like because Osman, if I forgot to mention, Osman made a deal with the God of Light to more or less get rid of Salem, or if I didn't explain that part, that specific part just now in the past, in earlier. Uh, yeah, but the ending part when Jim was like, "No, like I can't tell you shit about how to beat Salem. You can't." Like I guess it's like the yin and yang concept in the story. I guess like one can't exist without the other. There's has on Earth there has to be equal of light and darkness and whatnot. Uh, so I guess that's the reason. That's probably or that's my prediction of why Jen was like, "No, you can't do shit with Salem. Like y'all two are destined to pretty much balance out the world, or y'all probably are substitutes of the gods that left Earth," which brings back to the old yin and yang feng shui concept. Like when two sets of people step off, the world's almost thrown off balance, and these two nearly almost immortal beings come down and pretty much two sides of the same coin from the predecessors. So I guess like, my guess is just like Sam would say, we could be gods amongst them. My guess is probably yeah, they probably are the substitutes of the original Brothers Grimm. So I think that's the reason why Jim's like, no, you can't do shit to Salem, or even vice versa. That's another prediction I got because you guys are the new gods now. Y'all to hold it up and whatnot. Um, it's good to. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. It's good to not see the main set of characters. Here and there having their own full episode. I actually like the fact that this episode actually pans to a different set of characters for once. The more or less fully flush things out and explain things. So yeah, I kind of thought it was cool that that the camera wasn't on Team Ruby and Juniper and whatnot. It actually gave time to two characters that pretty much set up the whole plot of Ruby in general. So yeah, I did like the attention Ozma or Ospen and Salem got in that episode, and I feel like it fit just for them and whatnot. Uh, well, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about it. And shit. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say. I got all my predictions out, how I feel about it. Salem kind of did this shit to herself. She's the reason why the moon is fucked up. She's the reason why things are running rampant and whatnot. She kind of is the reason why she got herself cursed, and she's kind of the reason why Ospen technically got cursed because she was more or less causing hell on Earth, and the gods had no choice to bring back Osmond just to stop her. So she's kind of the reason why Osmond is the way she is. But I guess she's just some butthurt girl that just got mad at Osmond because more or less he's like, I ain't down with this shit, you know. Can't just keep throwing this world in darkness, man. We gotta rise up from this shit. I was literally sent here to take you out so the world wouldn't be flipped upside down like it was the first last thousand something years that you were then when we were still in a relationship. That's all I gotta say about it. Like it's hard to synthesize with Salem because she's the reason why shit is the way it is. Like I mean, and that's really pretty much all I gotta say about Salem. I mean, like I said before, a story is just as cliche as you can get as far as fantasy stories go. The typical love turned to revenge story and whatnot, and pretty much kicked off the whole story and scenario of RWBY in the first place. It's like pretty much Juha, Bach, or Eisen. They pretty much, well, more so Eisen, pretty much helped kicked off the whole storyline of Bleach in the first place. Eisen and Heck guy, damn, what's his name? Kinsei. Yeah, that was his name. Those two characters pretty much kicked off the series of Bleach, and I was comparing it obviously to the whole concept of how Ospen and Salem pretty much kicked off the whole plot of Ruby. It's just a comparison. I'm not. It's not a debate on which is better. It's just I'm just using a comparison example to more or less verify my statements. Uh, I'm gonna have to give it an exceptional. No, I was gonna say exceptional meeting to adequate. No, actually, it was pretty good. I wish there were certain things that didn't lead to more questions and whatnot, and I kind of feel like there were certain things that were retcon, like Austin being that wizard who gave his daughter the powers, or I guess which are the spring the season maidens. I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure. Like they said, he was just some introvert who pretty much just was brought out by a festival by the season maidens, and he for their gratitude he gave them their powers. So I guess like somewhere in one of Osmond's lifetimes, he was a grumpy old wizard introvert living in his house, and then his daughters try to cheer him up, and that's where it leads from there. I guess just that's just enough prediction. I'm not sure if that's going to be completely retcon. They just probably didn't mention it in that said story. Like it could be still relevant. It could be in the next episode or whatever. We'll never know. So I guess the real reason why he even gave the maidens, the season maidens, his powers so they can more or less fight against Salem. That's just another prediction. The world of remnant. That's just another thing. I'm just saying that could be possible or not because some theories usually are incorrect or some are correct. You'll never know until you see the next episode, whatnot. Yeah, that's pretty much gotta say. Like always, y'all like to subscribe. I might be out for a minute. Like again, I'm busy with life and whatnot, you know. So yeah, may frequently be here or probably not. Depends on my life and whatnot. So yeah, catch me around when I get there. I guess when I be around. I guess. Yeah, like and subscribe. Give notifications if you want to know for any scarce videos I might be making and whatnot. And my DeviantArt account is in the link below. Y'all can check it out. Give y'all critiques. Please tell me how y'all feel about it. I am a starving artist and critic and writer and whatnot coming up, and I really do accept criticism of any fashion, whether it be negative or positive, or cruel or compassionate, whatever. Just check it out, man. I do mostly photography, and I'm currently working. I know for those who's pretty much who's on my DeviantArt account, y'all probably already saying, man, what this nigga keeps saying, this project and whatnot. Like, you just get this shit out already. Beat the rose. Dancing with white chicks. I'm just giving a shout out from one of my last videos. He kind of commented on me sounding like Rick Ross every time I did that mimicky voice I do on the channel here and there. It was just a shout out, but yeah, it just came across. Yeah, but no, that project I keep mentioning, I'm pretty much going to have to say, I'm not going to completely spill the beans. I'm just going to say that that project I'm working on is an episodic comic webtoon. That's pretty much all I'm gonna have to say about it. You're not gonna see the project or whatnot. It's gonna come there and whatnot. So yeah, check out my DeviantArt account, y'all. Check out my work. I mostly do illustrations and episodic comic webtoons and photography and whatnot. So yeah, just check it out. Tell me what y'all think about it and whatnot. And like always, the Storm is watching y'all.